a natural act of imperfect act, and in fact, is really, really such a crime. In events such as these, when our answers proceeded to riddle, 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 riddle in a rhyme. It's a riddle in a rhyme. All through the obstacles around, it's truly only freedom that surrounds. With every breath, a living voice. With every rest, yes, there is a choice. And to see what you want to see, for it to be, there must surely be mountains to climb, cliffs to scale, bridges to build, and we will persevere. And we will persevere. And we will persevere. Of imperfect act, and in fact, is it really, really such a crime? In a vast such as these, when our answers proceeded to riddle, 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 riddle in a rhyme. It's a riddle in a rhyme. It's a riddle in, it's a riddle in a. It's a riddle in a, 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 it's a riddle in a rhyme.
Hey guys, Dave Darren here. Hang on a bit because it seems like our Skype failed, so we're going to do an audio phone call with Melissa in a second. So if you bear with me, I'll have the video chopping in a second. Hang on, guys. Okay, hey, welcome to the Dave Darren Show. I probably have Melissa on the phone. Melissa, how's it going?
Hey, very good, thanks.
Good, cool. Let me make sure I get the volume up on my cell phone now because we're going to have you on as a guest in a second. I'm going to introduce you to our audience. So, Melissa, give me a little sound check real quick.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
There we go. Awesome. Perfect.
Test
Okay.
test.
There we go. Perfect. So everything's going to work now. I believe we got the video going, and we have some people that have joined already. I think we've got, let me introduce some people. We got Terry, John, Bill. So welcome you guys to join the show. So let me introduce Melissa first of all. Melissa is a psychic. Is that right, Melissa? Tell me a little bit about.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I got to ask you a little bit of questions about psychic, and I want to ask you a lot of questions about being a psychic, but.
Okay.
Is when you started being, do you come out of the womb and you say to your mother as you're coming out? Do you say to her? Do you say, I knew I was going to come out at exactly August 22nd at 5:25 p.m. and you came out psychic at
nothing
birth?
like that. No, nothing like that.
So when does it all start?
It doesn't work like that. See, I was born this way genetically.
Uh-huh.
My ancestors are all, whether it be psychics, mediums, clergy, clair, whatever you want to call it. We all just have our own individual abilities, and I believe it started with my 18th, 17th, and 16th great-grandparents who were Native Americans, believe it or not. Yes, I have all the records paper traced. The only thing I'm missing is the DNA test, which I do plan to get all the kits and test all the kits and nail it down once and for all. Yes, are we, or no, aren't we Native American? I believe we are because I've been in contact with my Native ancestors for many years now, and, I'm just this way genetically. It just is. And on top of it, we have a family history of not just, shamanic ability, but as well, we have Druid from my 15th great-grandfather who was Celtic, English, Irish, Scotch. And then we have, Wicca from my Cromwell line. Yes, I descend from the Cromwells. You've heard of them through things like Halloween Town and all that, which, by the way, was filmed coincidentally right here in Oregon.
Wow.
And then we also have Gypsy through my mother's line, which there had been whisperings of this all the way growing up through my childhood, and I found out through several things, various pieces and parts that actually point in that direction, but yet I can't find any written record of Gypsy heritage.
Huh.
However, I do believe it to be true because, as I said, growing up, there were many whisperings. And my grandmother and grandfather both had abilities that not only did they support me in having these abilities, but they also had some of the same themselves. And so it was really cool and actually really interesting.
Wow. So, by the way, tonight's show is live, so anyone that want to call, you can call up. The phone number, I have it on the screen, is 480-236-2111, and you can ask Melissa questions, or you can ask me questions if you like. If you want to ask me questions, that's fine as well. But, so it's interesting, Melissa. Do you think that Native Americans are a little bit more psychic because they're connected to the grounds that they live on more than any of the other Americans that came in afterwards? Because you think of the indigenous people of America, which is the Native Indians, and they're connected to the vibrations of the continent that they're on. Do you think that has anything to do with it at all?
I think that's part of it. I think the other part is that throughout time and history, because they came obviously from Siberia, which if you notice in my book, I give an article that kind of explains more about it. I don't fully understand it myself, but the Siberian people were very shamanic, very connected to, not only just earth, but spirit, sky, water, every element you could name,
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me get to the meat of what I want to talk about now. Now, for instance, if I think about psychics, I think about some of the experiences I've had. For instance, I live very close to Las Vegas. So when you go to Las Vegas, you go to Las Vegas and you see a lot of entertainments. So you see people that pretend that they're psychics because they're entertainment type of psychics, or they have shows all over the place. They have all the hypnotic. You go there, you get hypnotized. And what they're looking for actors who act like they're hypnotized. So they're not really hypnotized, but if you're a good actor, they'll invite you back. They'll get you comps to the hotel room. They'll get you a free room. They'll get you free dinner because you become part of their act. So they dig that, and that's how they build their stage performance, is based upon people coming up on stage, pretending and being part of the act, pretending that they're hypnotized, and they'll do anything that the hypnotist tells them. So do you get a lot of people that don't believe in psychic powers? Do you get that? Or do you get more people that believe in it? What's the ratio of belief versus skepticism? Is there a ratio?
Well, to me, there's only one person that doesn't believe me, and that's the guy that's been stalking me for about 15 years. And I'm trying to get rid of him at this point. I don't want to talk a lot about it because I don't want to, have this come back on me through the show and all that.
Right. Well, I don't.
But anyway, I get more believers than non-believers, actually. Yeah, and tonight, of all things, I got a call from a lady here locally that wants me to do a gallery reading for her and her friends. I have never done that before. And I'm actually terrified scared, but I am excited. I mean, scared because I've never done it before. It's like the first time for me to do an actual gallery reading. And that would have to be worked out, as far as cost goes. But, because it's an exchange of energy, obviously.
Okay. Oh, by the way, go ahead. We do.
Anyway, I'm really scared, but I'm really excited too.
Oh, cool. By the way, just to prove that today's a live show, I'm going to read one of the comments from Brig out there. She asked, by the way, do you know who Heather Wade is, by the way, Melissa?
No.
Okay, that's good.
Can't say that I do. I'm sorry.
And I don't blame you for not knowing who it is because it's a radio personality who vanishes into thin air. So you're a psychic. Heather Wade is actually a magician because she disappears. But she wants you to put your hand to your head and just ask. She wants to know if Heather Wade is ever going to return to radio. And before you answer, let me put my hand to my head. And I believe Heather Wade will not return because she's intimidated by the Dave Darren Show being better than the Heather Wade Show. So there's the answer. There's the answer for Brig. You just got your answer. All right.
Okay. I am getting a message through from my guy David, who pulls all of my charts, my records, and everything else that I need to do my readings. And he's saying she will come back, but it will be on a much smaller scale at this point until she gets comfortable with doing what she's doing again.
Wow. She's going to come. She's going to come back to a smaller audience. So I think she's got 10 people now. So she's going to come back to an audience of 2 people. So that's great.
Well, basically on a smaller scale, meaning anywhere from it could be anywhere from 10 to 100. I'm not saying that small or small. I'm just saying it is whatever she needs it to be at this point.
Interesting. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you: is my show going to be bigger than hers as time progresses? The answer's got to be, if David gives you a different answer, your David medium gives you a different answer, then just give me a line and say, Dave's going to be bigger than Heather.
David is my guide. He's the guy that pulls all the charts from all the records, okay?
Oh, wow.
And he's very, very good, and he is accurate. And I mean, very accurate. I've had people say, how did you know? I go, I just know the way I know.
So wait a second now. So you're a psychic. And you're working right now with this gentleman named David, right? Right now you're working with the David, correct?
That is my guide.
That's your guide.
That is my guide, and he helps me do my readings because he gives me the information that I need from other side.
Huh.
And that includes bringing through loved ones. That includes bringing through information from Hall of Records, in other words, life charts and other various information that I need to complete my work.
So now, if David was not there right now, or if you were doing a reading and somehow you were connecting to David, but you lost that connection, would you be less powerful because you need that connection to David?
I don't think so. I just, I've done this for so long that, I don't think it makes me any more or any less powerful. I just, I would get it from a different otherworld source. And that would be all there was to it,
Uh-huh. How many psychics, like I said, I've never been to a psychic. I've had girlfriends that have been trying to ask what kind of guy I was before there was all the online research of anyone that they would date before they were, especially Italians. Italians love to figure out and go to psychics. Did you notice Italian people? Do they love psychics? Is that the race of people?
I'm Italian on my mom's side. I would not necessarily say more or less it's any one kind of people. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And see, my people come from an area of Italy, and I know this for a fact. Okay, this has been researched and has been spoken of in the media, in fact, that 1 in 5 people where my mother was born are born with psychic and or other abilities towards spirits. So, it comes from her line, it comes from my dad's line, on multiple lines through his thing. And I know this also for a fact through genealogical work that I've done. I've been able to trace the roots of my ability. So, it just is what it is, and I go with it. I just go with what I go with, and I do what I do.
Wow. So 1/3 of the people that are from Italy, because I'm Italian as well, 1/3 of the people are working pizza shops, 1/3 of the people are psychic, and the other third, they're in the mafia. So there we broke down every Italian person into those 3 realms.
Now, I haven't broken down the numbers of anyone particularly from any one thing, okay, in the Italian world, because my family doesn't even really accept me, as it were, because of my abilities, because they're honestly scared to death, terrified, afraid of it. But, I just roll with what I got to go with. I do what I have to do, and I really love my work.
Okay,
like I said, 1 in 5 people where my mother was born, my mother, Italian, okay? 1 in 5 people has abilities toward whether it be spirit or energy or psychic or whatever you want to call it. And there have been whisperings down through the years.
Okay, let me bring a caller in here.
I don't have any proof, but
Okay, by the way, we have a caller in here, so let's get the caller in who may have a question for you. Caller, would you like to ask a question of Melissa, please?
Hi, David. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, hon.
Hi. I have a question.
Sure.
First, may I ask, have you ever been affiliated with a spiritualist church?
No, ma'am.
No
affiliation, no connection.
They're good. Okay. Will my Chrissy, ever be happy?
Yes, of course. I mean, we all have to find our own happiness, and honestly, she's going to have to find hers. But yes, I believe so.
And say, do you have any idea what period of time?
Well, we're all going through right now how do I call this? Like a transformation, if you will. We're all going through, a thing of where we're like deciphering between what's going to make us happy and what's not. And I'm going through that right now. I'm going through
we all are
in my own life. So,
I
think it's going to be probably in the next 2 years.
Next 2 years? Oh, that's nice news. Okay, thank you, dear.
Okay,
You're welcome,
hon. Thank you.
You too. Bless you, hon.
Bye, David.
Yeah, bye-bye. Take care. Thanks for calling. Okay, so Melissa, let me ask you this question. Is being a psychic, is it something that you work on to keep your skills sharp? Or is it, for instance, when you first got into this, and it's genetically inclined based upon your family and all that, obviously, I would think that you would have to get better and better and better at it via practice. Is that true? And do you have to keep on, even currently right now, do you have to keep the skills sharp somehow?
Well, there are courses that can be taken that help keep the skills sharp, it's true. But that's all that can really be done with it. And as far as my own abilities go, believe it or not, when I first found out that I even had these abilities, can you imagine not only just my shock and surprise, but I was actually scared. I was like, what in the heck? You know?
Wow. So you mentioned sometimes that people are scared of this. Do you ever read anybody and the reading of that person is if you told them everything that you knew about them, you would scare the living daylights out of them. You could tell them potentially when they're going to die. You could tell them that they've got a disease within their body that is going to progress and there's no solution to it. You're going to be terminal. What do? Do you hold back the reality of telling that person what you found out about them?
There are certain things, obviously there are certain things because of morality issues that I'm not allowed to talk about, okay?
Uh-huh.
I don't tell anyone, yes, you're terminal, no, you're not unless the question is like directly asked. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And, you know, sometimes I get the answer, I'm sorry, there's just absolutely nothing can be done. I wish more could be. At times there are those answers that, you know, it's just I have to be honest. And I'm not going to hold anything back.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
I wonder how many people...
But moreover, I get really good messages. I get messages of love, of peace, of kindness, of joy, of, you know, new life incoming, you know, versus old life exiting and, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay. Is there a difference? A person comes to see you, and there are a lot of people that believe in psychic powers, and there's people that come there with significant doubts and they're non-believers. Can you read both equally, or do you have to work with someone is it easier to work with someone who's a believer rather than someone that is a huge skeptic? Is there a different ability to read them?
Well, with skeptics, I have a much harder time, and my guide says, look, we just can't break through their energy. There's just nothing we can do for them.
Uh-huh.
You know, and, you know, for some, there's always going to be that thing of some are never going to believe no matter what you tell them, no matter how hard you try, no matter what. So basically for those types, I pretty much just said, look, I don't read those types because their energy, I can't get through to them. They're just not going to believe it no matter what I do.
Okay.
And for those that are believers, I have a little bit easier time reading them because then I can have David pull their life chart and say, okay, here's the information you need to know past, present, and potential future. Here's what you need to know for potential future. You know, you have the ability to rewrite your chart at any time in astral travel to Hall of Records with your guides, your angels, your gatekeepers, your ancestors, your whoever that is on your particular team, you know, versus my own. Mine can help, but mine can't, you know, 100% help every single individual across the board. It's just not possible.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, you know, I'm not able to help everyone that comes through my door.
Do you have to have a great deal of perception to do this? In other words, what I'm thinking about the people that are pretending that they're psychics, but what they really are extremely perceptive people. So you come down there and you're talking to someone who's pretending they're a psychic, and they're very good at reading people. They're like, for instance, they may try to lead the conversation in the direction of family, people in your family.
No, I never do that. See, I do this naturally. This just comes. It comes how it comes, when it comes, where it comes, how it comes. It just comes. Okay? And I can never predict when, where, how, or why it will come. It will come. Period. And the story. And when it does come, it comes like a tidal wave. It's like I have to give all of the information or I lose the entire message.
Wow.
It just is that way.
So it's almost like, you know, when I interview musicians on the previous show that I did, I asked them about their writing abilities and the ability to write music. And they do tell me that it comes in waves. Some of them are lucky enough that the wave is continuous, but some of them have they'll be with a piece of paper and they'll be with a recording device because they want to capture that intense flow of talent that's in their brains before the roadblock comes. So is it sort of like that with you? Is there a freeze and a roadblock?
It's very much like that. You know, I just have to go with what I get, and I have to trust that the information I'm getting is correct. Because my guy David, he is, oh my God, he's good. I brag about him all the time because he is so good. I mean, he's on it. When I need information, he's on it. He's it. He's the go-to guy. Okay.
Now, is he psychically able as well? Is he part of that, or is he kind of like your data guy?
I don't know how to answer that. He, of course, has been human, in human incarnations before, but he chose this time to be a guide, and he's mine at this point because, he's so accurate. It's uncanny. I mean, I've had answers. There's no way I could have known certain things. I've literally had people, start to cry, drop their jaws, but how did you know that? It's like, I give it to my guy David. He just does it,
Yeah. Now, is there any, for instance, how do you start to read people? I mean, do they call you up and say, I want to have an appointment with you? And then... Yeah. Is that right? Okay.
They can call me. They can email me, which I don't normally give out my email address, but if they have to email me, call me first. I'll give you the email over the phone. I've had problems with people emailing me very nasty, negative, disgusting messages, so I just don't give it out, period. And yeah, they can call me for a reading, and I will book them in my calendar. And so if you go to my website, it has all my rules for doing all this. And so, everything is at my website. Read through my website. It's just straightforward, no nonsense stuff. Okay.
Well, give that out now. We'll at the end of the program, we'll give it again. But what's your website so people, if they want to scribble it down right now, they can do that. So what's the website?
Psychic Mom, PSYCHIC MOM, Mom, as in mother, 2017 dot Wix, WIX, site, SITE, wixsite.com / Melissa Bryan.
Okay, cool. By the way, when people contact you and they say that they want a psychic reading, and then you book an appointment with them, do some of them want it over the telephone? And do you have the ability to give them a psychic reading over the telephone without having them come in to see you physically? Can you do that as well?
Yes, I actually can do that, and I've done it quite a few times. I also have done it via text message. I've done it via email. I've done it in person. I've done it in numerous different ways.
Does one way work better than the other? I would think that the communication that you get face-to-face would be a little bit closer and give you a better reading.
I prefer face-to-face, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way.
Okay.
Because everything is, think about this. Everything is energy and energy-based, okay? And I can basically read things like from names, from birth dates, from, from a vocal inflection. I can get an image, not only just of them, but I can get, how do I call it? I can get kind of a sense of who they are as people, and from their voice, they can give me a little bit of their energy, and I can read that energy. Now, also face-to-face with a photo does, in fact, help, because I do also read photos, objects, buildings, vehicles, land, pretty much anything that can hold an energy to it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Whatever happens if you're wrong? Are you ever wrong and you read somebody and you give them information and it comes out that it was a totally wrong reading?
Yes, and that's why I say I never go above 90%. Very, very extremely rarely do I ever go above 90%.
What 90% of what? Accuracy in the reading?
Accurate.
Or what?
90% accurate in my readings, yes. I never go above that. I get 10% for anything that is like, human nature getting in the way, maybe human logic, something that I might, say misinterpret from my guide. It does happen. Humanity gets in the way. It's just the nature of the beast. It's the way it is.
Okay. Do you ever read anybody and then the reading is actually not accurate to them, but do they ever come back to you and say, you know what? It must have reflected off of me, and the experiences that you told me I was going to share actually happened to my spouse or my children? Does that ever happen and it's reflected?
Yes.
Huh.
Now, I may not necessarily get something for somebody who is sitting with me. It might be for someone like, say, for example, from someone they know closely or that they work with, or that, it might be for someone else, for me to pass a message through them to another individual. You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, it's been known to happen a few times. I've had it happen in my career, 40 years in. So, yeah, it just is what it is.
Has the psychic ability now in 2019, do people believe it more now than they did in the past? In the past, there was a lot, for instance, we had the Salem witch trials, and people were believing that humans were ghosts and they were actually put to death because of that. Is there more of a belief in it now than there was, like, say, 50 or 100 years ago? Is it more acceptable now? Do you have any idea?
Well, I believe back in the Victorian era, it was more acceptable then because everyone was looking, for some way to contact their deceased relative. And if you gave, I don't want to say yay or nay one way or the other, but if you, gave not so accurate information, and eventually, skeptics came up with, oh, no, it's all fraud, blah, blah, blah. Well, now, because we're going through I guess if you will, a transition of energy through whatever's going on in the world now, I think it is much more acceptable now because people are looking for answers to, whatever their questions are, and they don't know how else to get those answers.
Okay, so now let me ask you one now, and this is on a serious note. So I've gotten on Facebook and YouTube periodically, and I've said that I believe that the human race on this planet Earth is sort of destined to a disaster taking place, not because of global warming, but because of humanity in itself not necessarily getting along with humanity, even within your next door neighbor, let alone other countries across the globe. Is humanity going to survive based upon a continual progression of acceptance? Or is there going to be that moment in time where humanity is going to have to destroy itself and wipe us out, almost to an annihilation of none of us existing, before we can rebuild to a better human than we are now? What's the destination of humanity? Do you have any idea? I'm sure this question comes
really
up.
From everything I'm seeing, I think humanity will live on, thrive, and survive, but it's all these doomsayers that just need to really get a life because they're dragging the energy down with them. And I mean, people are going to believe what they're going to believe. It's just nature of humanity. But all these doomsayers have got to grow up and get a life because you know what? Not everyone is going to, say, for example, believe them versus, believing someone else. I mean, there's a lot of people looking to control humanity. I don't believe it's right. I don't believe it's good. But that's just me. I can't tell anyone else what to believe, okay?
Now, okay, so right now you've given a reading of a positive destination for humanity, correct?
Yes, absolutely, because I do believe human nature and human spirit are going to survive no matter what happens.
Okay, now...
And even if there's a point of annihilation, what can we honestly do about it? Really? I can't do anything about it. People are going to do what they're going to do. who am I to say? Who am I to judge? I mean, you know.
Yep. When you give a psychic reading, I'm really curious about this because we see all these science fiction programs, and we see people that are time travelers, and they don't want to get it. They try not to change the direction of the path of the current timeline by going back and changing the destination. So, in a psychic reading, and the 90% accuracy that you mentioned, is there a fate involved that could be changed to change the direction? Do you tell them, like now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It can be changed based on whether or not we change our own charts, and we can do that.
You can do that, okay.
Basically when we're sleeping, guess where our souls go? Yeah, our souls go over to holographics, and we're working on our charts. And, you know, we chart certain things for our own progression and our own destiny. And sometimes it affects humanity, sometimes it doesn't. And we chart whether or not we affect humanity, obviously. You know, myself, I've chosen to just keep on my path and do what I do, and anyone else wants to boo-hoo it, well, okay, you know, what can I do? I mean, I can't change other people, obviously, just in as much as they can't change me. So.
Well, now, by the way, do you innerly psychically read yourself, or are you inhibited and you can't do that? Are you blocked?
Because I am blocked from reading myself. I don't read myself. No.
Wow. Are there any close family members that you can't read because they're blocked as well, or you can read everyone, just not yourself?
I can read almost. Not quite everyone, but almost everyone. And no, not in the family lines, because they're too close to me and I'm too close to them. Once in a great while, I'm given the opportunity to say, okay, I do have a message for you. Here's what you need to know. It's up to you whether or not you want to change that in your chart, but, you know, there you go.
Okay, so is every reading that you give, is there a probability or a possibility of every single person you read to change that destination? I guess the answer is probably yes. Is that right?
Yeah, it's absolutely yeah.
Do you give them advice in how to change the destination? For instance, I mentioned the health one, where someone has a disease that's within their body, and you can probably read that, I'm imagining, correct?
Yes, because I have picked up in recent past the ability to, whether to heal an illness or say, look, you know, this is the way it's got to be. I can do what I can do to try to change that, but I cannot guarantee that it will work.
Wow.
I never guarantee healing work to 110%. I've had one person healed of cancer. Yes, it's true. I have had one person healed of cancer. I have had one person and I'm going to give you an example from my book, and I've written this into my book, Born into Shamanism, Kindle, Amazon. If you want to go find it, go for it. Her hand was all gnarled up, almost like an eagle talon, you know, eagle claw talon thing. Her hand was all gnarled up, and my heart sank literally into my stomach. I mean, I'm like, how can anyone live with that kind of pain? I just can't. I couldn't bear seeing her hurting like that. And I don't know what happened, but I basically put my hands over top of hers, and my hands got super, super white hot. I mean, white hot to the point where it hurt. That was painful. And I basically put some energy into her hand. I said, all I'm doing is straightening the energy in your hand. This is going to help the doctors to do their job better at healing whatever this malady is. And then a couple days later, she went in for surgery to correct that. She came back to me a year later, and her hand was completely straight, normal, except for one finger, her pinky finger, I believe, on her right hand. And she was going to get that corrected a couple months later. If she could otherwise open and close her hand normally. She said, I don't know what you did, but it worked. I said, I give it to whatever the highest power available is. I don't have a name for it. I just do what I do.
Wow. Now, when you're doing a reading, obviously it's pretty intense. I would imagine it's an intense mind drain to a degree. It's very mental. Is that correct?
Yes, it's very mental, very energy heavy, and I have to be careful to preserve my own personal energy, you know.
So So there's got to be.
It's very mentally, it's very energetically heavy. Yeah.
Right. So obviously, if you can't have everyone goes to work for an 8-hour day, if they have that type of job, and then they come back, they do whatever they got to do, and they wake up in the morning, 9 o'clock, go another 8 hours. You probably could not do that because you need a recharge time, and it probably varies depending on the intensity of the reading.
I do that 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. I take Sundays off completely to recharge my batteries, take a bath, take a shower, just take care of me,
Wow. How long are the sessions that you give? Do they vary from 15 minutes, an hour, 30 minutes? Are they different lengths?
Yes, I can do anything from 15 minutes on up to an hour. And I haven't had that many clients like that all at once, but I have read through various psychic services like psychics.com or that kind of thing, where I've gone as much as 8 hours, 6 days a week, and I love my work. I absolutely love my work.
That's got to be pretty intense, because I would think that some of the readings would be very demanding, depending on the situation that they're in, depending on the questions they're asking or the knowledge they want you to give them. I would imagine some of them could be extremely draining. And does that affect the next reading that you've got, where you've now got a little bit of a lull in your energy, so the reading of the next person won't be quite as accurate as you would hope it would have been? Does that ever happen?
Once in a while, but I usually maintain a very high level of accuracy because of my connection with my guide David, who really helps me out a lot on a lot of this stuff, and I can depend on him to help me give it to as much accuracy as I can possibly get.
What's the number one thing that people want to know? There's got to be one thing, and is it when they're going to die? I would imagine most people would not want to know that.
No, it's not when they want to die. It's mainly things like career, love, money, home, family, that kind of thing. Because everything nowadays is so uncertain, and they want something that gives them a certain level of certainty, a basic level of certainty, a basic level of, okay, everything's going to be okay. And really, all in all, everything will be okay. It'll be fine.
Well, maybe it's not a level of certainty. It's a level of control of the destination, because you're saying that everything is not exactly certain. They can work on their charts and change
not in one respect, but in another, it can be if you allow it to be.
Interesting. Wow. So what is the most fearful level that people come to when does it ever happen where you start going into a direction with them, and then the person that you're reading says, I don't want to go that direction, I got to leave now? Is there anyone that's ever done that?
Yes. Just recently I had someone who came in for 10 minutes and just basically, I think I struck a nerve or something, because she just left really fast.
Well, how do you prepare your environment to read someone? I mean, we see on TV, we see like the crystal balls, we see like the hand holding, or we see like a hand placed on another hand and then reading a palm. How do you, what's the tools of the implementation?
I don't do palms. Yes, I have a crystal ball. So I use it more or less like a prompt to say, okay, yes, I am psychic. I do have the ability, but I don't read crystal balls. That's called scrying. I don't do that. In fact, I don't hardly use any tools at all, except one, okay? I have a particular pendulum, which I have in my hand right here. This is my very first pendulum, and it has actually worked very well for me. Okay, this is about the only thing I use. I don't use hardly anything else. I have crystals, yes. I have all the various psychic tools and whatnot. I haven't quite learned to use all of them yet, but, you know, that's something I believe for a later date. I mainly use mine, you know, to do on-air, online, video, you know, my own podcast, which I'm on Mixler right now. I left, oh God, what was it? Spreaker, because I was having issues with them. They weren't quite upfront honest.
Huh.
But, you know, I just mainly use these as props to say, okay, yes, I do have the ability, and I do have crystals. I mean, crystals work really well for me as well. You know, I have all kinds of crystals and candles and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I have 4 pendulums. I have an aphame. I have a witch's wand. I have a chalice. I have candles. I have sage and Palo Santo. And I have all kinds of things here on my table. But everything brings in the kind of energy that I need to maintain my energy level so I can do my work. But at the same time, knowing that I'm getting paid for what I'm doing by the hour really helps as well, because it's an exchange of energy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I said again and again, I love my work. I would not change this for the world. I would not. I love what I do.
Yep. Well, that's a lot of tools you mentioned, the pendulum, the crystals, and all that. And in our house here, the implements we've got is my wife has chains, whips, dildos, and all that stuff. So we're equipped very differently than you are. So, by the way, we got this guy Craig here asking a question. I don't know if you know this individual, Craig, but he asked the question. He says, Dave, ask if David saved her from her semi-truck crash. I'm not sure what that means. Do you happen to know what that means?
I do. We were in a truck crash about almost 3 years ago. I believe something. Now, I cannot guarantee that this was David that did it. Maybe he played a small part in it. I don't know, okay? I don't have a lot of detail on that. But I do know someone or something of a higher nature, higher power, whatever you want to call this, did save my family and I. Now, I cannot say it's David. I don't know. I don't have a specific name for whatever saved us. I don't know. I can't tell you that.
Okay, but you did have a truck crash, I guess, correct?
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious.
We were hit from behind by an 18-wheeler, forced off the road, helicopter spun 20 feet in the air, and then cartwheeled back onto our tires. Okay,
so now, obviously, the question I'm going to ask you, and this is probably a question that's been asked since you've been on multiple shows, but if you were involved in that semi-truck crash, can you leave your brain in some kind of constant mode, almost like a security system in your home? You got a security system in your home, and as soon as it detects motion, it's going to alert you that someone's broken into your house. Can you connect your psychic ability internally within you so that as soon as something's going to happen, you would be alerted to it and you would have never experienced that semi-truck crash? Or I think you said you can't read yourself, so maybe that's an impossibility. Is that correct?
It's an impossibility because I cannot read myself, okay?
Right.
I can't. I don't, I won't.
Okay. You don't, you won't, but if you could, would you?
No, because I don't want to know all the answers. I can't know all the answers. I'm still human.
Okay.
I cannot know all the answers. So, no, I do not want to know, okay?
Okay. Now, we got a question here from Lasha. Has she ever helped catch criminals or find missing peoples?
Yes. I have several examples. Everything's in my book. You can read into that, whatever you want to read into it. But anyway, I have helped catch a couple of bank robbers over in Santa Fe, New Mexico. One was in Santa Fe, and I think the other one was, I don't remember right now. But anyway, and I have helped with some missing persons cases. There's one case I'm heavily involved in for legal reasons. I cannot discuss particulars, but I still have information forthcoming regarding a local case. There's a man and a little girl missing, Sean Moss. Again, for legal reasons, I cannot discuss particulars. That's just not something I can do right now until I'm legally cleared to do so. So I cannot discuss particulars. But yes, they're still missing. Yes, I'm still working on it. Hopefully, we're hoping for a good outcome. We're crossing our fingers and hoping and asking other side, please, look, just help us bring them home, okay?
Okay, so what do you do when you when you try to find a missing person? For instance, we have a dog here. We just adopted a German Shepherd, and obviously they use
we have 2 German Shepherd Belgian Malinois boys, Bandit and Billy, same litter, almost 4 years old. They'll be 4 years old next month. Oh, here comes Billy. Hi, Billy. Hi, love. You want to be on the air too, huh? He's my vocal dog. And anyway, give your baby my love. Oh, my God. I love German Shepherds. I'm such a moosh, so forget it. When it comes to critters, that's it. My heart's gone.
Well,
it's over.
It's funny.
Done.
It's funny.
I don't mind.
It's funny. We don't have a German Shepherd. We have a Belgian Shepherd like you do that. So we match exactly the same
Belgian
type.
Shepherd. Right.
Yeah.
Aw, I'm just saying hi. Hi.
Unfortunately, I can't see you though because we stopped the Skype session. But let me ask you this: when you try to do the finding of people, for instance, I was bringing up the dog because if German Shepherds, you can give them a piece of clothing and they'll smell that. I guess that's what we see on TV. But they'll give the dog a piece of clothing. They'll get the scent from the piece of cloth, and then they'll find the person that's associated with that piece of cloth. How do you do it?
Clothing and other objects held by the individual give off a specific scent, and they can track that scent all the way towards finding that individual. It's true. Right. Me, on the other hand, what I do is I go, Silly, I'm on the air, silly goose. Sorry, my boy's talking to me a lot. He says, I want attention. Sorry. I look at like a photo, and I can read their information because a photo holds information. I can read the aura of the person in the photo. And like, for example, with the Sean Moss case, and this is only an example, I'm not talking anything that, I would legally get in trouble for. My first impression was Grand Canyon. That is my symbol automatically for Arizona. I said, look, they are either in or near Arizona. And then in comes a image of a saguaro cactus. And I've lived in Arizona before, so I know Arizona very, very, very intimately. And that's my symbol for southern Arizona. And then I got an image of downtown over near a very tall building. There's like a tall building on one side and some barrios or old neighborhood on the other side of the street. And I'm going into this neighborhood and I see this one house. I've driven past it before because I used to live in Tucson, long years ago. And I saw this one house. I said, they're being held there. They're either being held there or were held there at one point and then moved. I don't know for a fact or for certainty. But I know for a fact, because of current information that I have from Spirit, that the man, not the little girl that's missing, but the man that's missing with the little girl, I see something behind his eyes. There's like something else going on with him that is like almost a double life, if you will, because he and his daughter are missing from right here in Roseburg. And there's almost something like a double life going on. I don't know what this is. I don't have any confirmation one way or another, but it's like there's something that he's involved with this somehow. I don't know particulars. But I know he is involved with something with this. There's something with a double life, something behind his eyes. He's involved with this somehow. I don't know. Maybe he changed his name, changed his identity, or changed their names or their identities or something like that. And I don't know. I don't have any proof to the fact, but that's just the information I'm reading from his photo. And,
Okay.
I don't know if he has like a second life in Arizona or a double life there. I don't know, but it's just this is just what I get.
Yep.
Okay, this is just cold reading the information that I get from a photo. Okay, I don't have any proof to the fact. I don't have any knowledge of the case whatsoever. I'm just going in cold based on what I'm seeing. Okay, this is just cold information. I have no proof, none.
Okay, let me ask you this question. You mentioned that some people that are skeptical, very skeptical, they're harder to read than people that have either a strong belief or a belief in psychic abilities. When you're trying to find somebody, for instance, some people don't want to be found. They want to escape for a variety of reasons, whether they're so did they have the ability, if they knew that they could block your abilities or a psychic's ability, is there a potential for a person to be able to block out anyone from being able to read them? Now, you mentioned that some people don't.
There is that possibility. But, like I said before, everything holds energy, okay? Everything is energy. And I can read that. And it doesn't matter, from a photo, it doesn't matter if they're skeptical or not. I can still read them from a photo. Some people, though, go blank, like I can't see anything in their auric field, and maybe they're blocking me, and maybe I'm blocking the information. I don't really know. But I have had a time or two where that's happened, where it's like, I'm just not getting anything. I can't get anything. Mm-hmm. And I have to accept it for what it is. I just have to accept it. It just is what it is.
Wow. Okay, so now I'm curious, and I'm not going to ask you questions about me because I really don't want to know the answer. But me having a discussion with you right now, do you have the ability to read me to a degree with 90% accuracy? If I ask you a question about me, would you be able to read?
I have ability to read some little part of you. I don't know if it would be 90% exactly on the nose, but I can get it about as close as availably possible.
So you would be
that's the only thing I can guarantee.
Okay, so so I will ask you a question. Okay, I'll ask you one question. My wife and I have been considering moving from where we live in Arizona to somewhere else. Should we move, and where should we move to?
Well, you both strike me as the type that would come from somewhere around Nevada or Arizona. Not Arizona exactly, but like Nevada or California.
Uh-huh.
I want to say Nevada because they have not only just a higher income ratio, but also they have, I guess, a warmer energy than I feel with California. California, I feel right now, is very, very cold energy-wise and not a good place to be, not only just climate-wise, but also income-wise and politically and spiritually. They're pretty much virtually dead right now.
Nevada.
That's just what I get from California, but,
Okay, so you're saying I should not move to Nevada? Is that what you said? I should not, right?
No, California.
Oh, okay. Nevada's a good place.
Don't go to California. California, I don't get a good feeling about it.
Okay, but
Nevada, they're a lot warmer, better income, better housing, better, political climate, better, almost more spiritual than California. And I'm saying that's like somewhere around like Bullhead City, Las Vegas, those areas. I'd say more toward like Las Vegas.
You know what I should do? I have an idea. I just got this idea. I should move to Pahrump, Nevada, and buy the house right next to Heather Wade and compete with her directly. Weathered Hate, that's what I usually call her. But Heather Wade actually does a paranormal show rather poorly. So I think I should just buy a house right next to her and broadcast the daylights out of her and take over all of her audience and bring them all over to Dave Darren.
Don't do that.
Don't be mean.
Some competition. Come on.
All right. So when
honestly, give her some chance at competition, okay?
Right.
I'd say more toward Vegas. I'd say you're going to have a much better, easier time of it there.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I would say go more toward Vegas.
Okay. So maybe I'll do that. And actually, I used to live in Vegas before, so it's not a place that I don't know well. It's a place.
Right,
I,
right.
I don't know. I was thinking about. Actually, I was talking to my wife maybe about. So you might have read me because I was thinking about Las Vegas. I'm not sure though, but we'll think about it. So another question for you: when you have people that are these intense skeptics, and there are a lot of them. In fact, there's one right now in the chat session here that doesn't believe anything that you're telling us. What do you do?
I don't care what he says, what he thinks, what he does. Who cares? Not doing anything with him. Okay.
Okay, him or her, right? Okay, so when you
Either way, not doing anything with them. Don't care. Don't want to know.
okay, so that's the way.
Whatever.
Okay, because there are a lot of so that's the way you deal with it. Whether they believe it or not, you kind of don't worry about it. That's a philosophy that you.
No, I don't worry about it.
Okay.
Because I already know what I know, and I've got a 40-year-long track record and a pretty damn long resume, if you will. Yes, I have a resume where I show everything I have done over the years. You know, it's just no-brainer.
Okay, let's see. A couple of questions here. John asked, he says, where in Italy are your people from? You maybe went with that before, but go ahead.
My mother's people are from Genoa. We pronounce it Genova because that's the Italian pronunciation. Gifoni and a place called Vallepiana. I don't know specifically where they are. I think they're near Rome somewhere. I'm not real familiar with it. I've only visited Italy maybe a couple of times when I was a kid, so I never really actually got to know it really intimately.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not that I don't want to go back to see it again. I don't know Italy that intimately, so I'm not entirely certain where they're from.
Have you ever read anybody, and as you're reading them and understanding their situation more and more and more, is there anyone that you've read that you had to stop, you personally had to stop because of the fears of getting to know them and knowing who that person is across from you, who might be a dangerous person and you just want them out of there as soon as... Has that ever happened to you, where you just wanted to stop? No, that's never happened.
Thankfully, no, I have never had that happen. I have yet to have that happen. I would not wish to have it happen, but no, I have not had it happen yet.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there won't be a first time, but it has not happened yet.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. When you read, is it easier to read a man versus a woman? A certain type of individual? For instance, I'm pretty technical. I manage computer software projects. So I'm more technical. And there's people that I've interviewed, obviously, who are musicians. Is there any male versus female specific industry that's easier to read because they're more analytical versus someone that's more emotionally connected? No. Totally wide open readership. There's no real formula for who's an easier read versus a harder read.
Exactly.
Do they have to be able to speak? For instance, there's people that obviously can't communicate because of the language barrier. For instance, I speak only English. If I'm trying to communicate with someone in a different language, I would not be able to do it. Can you cross the language barrier with a read that does not matter?
You know what? Once in a while, it's like, and I'm giving this only from my personal perspective, okay? It's like I can hear the language, translate it over to English, and then translate it back over to the other language again. But it's a little bit more difficult depending on the language. Like, for example, Italian and Spanish are, like Mexican Spanish, are very, very, very similar. It's basically just a transition, of, like, say, a vowel or something, a vowel or consonant or something of that nature. And I understand both languages equally well. I just can't speak them. You see what I'm saying? I can hear them, understand it, but I can't speak it back. It's really weird. I know that sounds strange, but that's literally the way it is. And there was one time I was at Old Tucson Studios. They said, hey, we need a translator. Somebody, can you translate this? I said, well, what language are they? Italian. And I go, okay, have them tell me what they need to tell me. And I was able to translate it over to English. But I was not able to translate it back again over to Italian because I'm not able to speak the language. I know a few words. Yes, I grew up knowing it, but I've since lost that ability. I mean, because I grew up with an Italian grandmother, Italian grandfather, nonno and nonna, which, God love them, they passed to spirit several years ago back, back when I was first getting going with things. They passed to spirit, and
okay, here's another question for you.
not a day goes by I don't miss them.
Okay, now, by the way, do you have children? You might have children.
No. Thank God, no.
Okay.
I don't have children. I don't want children, honestly.
Okay,
I would not want children because, I don't want kids growing up in this day and age. Things are violent, they're evil, they're, nothing makes sense, if you will.
Okay. Now, are you a married
I
woman?
would not want to raise them in today's world.
Okay, yeah. Are you married right now? Do you have a husband?
Yes, I'm married. I've been married for almost 24 years.
Okay. Do you have the ability, obviously, to read your husband? I would believe either to a strong degree or to a limited degree. Which is it?
Limited. Extremely limited degree. Once in a great while, I'll say, look, here's the information you need to know. You have the ability yourself to change this. You can change this chart. I'm just giving you the message I was given. It's up to you.
Now,
I have no.
Okay, why are you so limited in reading him? Due to his nature? Due to his why are you so limited in the ability to read him?
Because, like my own blood family, he's too close to me. So, he's too close to my situation. So, no, I can't generally read him. Okay,
so it's interesting because he's not a blood relative. He's a relative via marriage. So he's a little bit different.
Well, but he's too close to my own personal situation.
Right,
you see what I'm saying?
Okay, I do. Okay. If I wanted to extend my program to what I used to do before, the paranormal, the UFO, I don't know if you'd be able even to answer this, but via your psychic abilities, are there aliens that have, this goes beyond the psychic thing that I try to do with you here, but...
Yes, I do believe there are UFOs. Now, I've never had an in-person contact encounter, okay? I've not ever done that. I have seen things that indicate there is otherworldly life, yes, but I have never had an in-person encounter, okay?
Are there alien beings on planet Earth right now? Because when I did the paranormal show, I had people say that there are aliens among us.
I've heard there are. Now, I've come in contact with some people that claim that they are aliens. Who am I to judge their situation? Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I don't know.
But maybe you could judge their situation because via your psychic abilities, you might be able to read them and call them out as true aliens or hybrids or so you might be able to do that, or do you think you cannot read aliens, you can only read humanity?
Well, it's not that I can't read it, it's that I just go, okay, if you're an alien, that's fine. I'm not going to judge you for who or what you are. That's not my bad, okay?
But can you predict who they are? Can you connect with
I can read the energy of who they are, yes. But I cannot, I'm not in a position to judge what kind of persona that they have taken on in this life, okay?
Okay. What I'm curious about, I have a lot of questions about this because I don't understand this topic at all, so I'm getting a lot of information from you. When you walk down the street, you mentioned if you saw a picture, you would be able to get a reading from the picture. You get when you're walking down the street, you get pictures because you're seeing physically people walking down the street. So not only are you getting a picture, you're getting a moving picture of the person walking down the street. Can you, to some degree, read that person? It's not asking you to read them, but can you get a vibe from who they are just by making eye contact?
I have done that, but here's the thing, and I'm going to give you a big but. I don't generally read people like that. It's not that I can't. It's that I don't unless they come to me and say, did you just pick up on? I goes, well, yeah, but then I do that generally anyway. I try not to because I feel like that would be, how do I say this? Like, I don't like to read people, that I'm just passing by. I don't like to do that. I try not to do that. Once in a while I do that, but I try as hard as I can not to. I prefer to just block that while I'm in town or something, walking down the street or something, because I have other things on my mind, things that I need to get done, that I don't have all the time in the world to devote to constantly read, because that would, I guess, if you will, delete or deplete, my own personal energy, and I need to protect that, okay?
Uh-huh. Okay, so here's a question for you. With your psychic abilities, is there an advantage you can use for your own personal gain? Now, here's the, for instance, I'm a consultant, so I work for a lot of different companies, and I'm competing for their business versus the other person or other company that's competing for that same business. If I had your psychic ability, it might help me to obtain an advantage over the counterpart that's trying to secure the same job I am. Could you use your abilities to your advantage, selfish advantage, in a lot of different ways? I imagine you probably could, right?
Well, I could if I wanted to, but here's the thing. Again, I'm going to give you this. But I prefer not to see what I do as competition to anybody else. I let the other psychics do what they do. That's them, not me, okay? I'm not them. They're not me. So obviously, I'm not going to compete with someone else that I know is not really actually any competition to me at all. Because I'm unique to what I do. They're unique to what they do. There's no way to compete like that. That's stupid.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, you mentioned, I asked you about moving to different places. I was thinking about moving to Las Vegas, potentially. I'm not sure yet. But now you might get an invitation from me, and you might get a plane ticket to fly to Las Vegas to be with me if you can help me win some money at the gambling table. Could you do that? As much of a joke as that is, could you turn your abilities of psychic powers into producing profit in some kind of industry?
No, I'm sorry, I don't do that. That's just not part of my abilities. I have chosen not to do that because I feel like that is interfering in someone else's life chart. That is not something that I can do, okay? I will not do that.
Well, you will not, but you could probably do that if you chose to take that
even
direction.
if I wanted to, I would not.
You wouldn't,
because, again, that is interfering in someone else's life chart. I can't do that. I won't do it. I'm sorry. It's just not the way I do. Not how I work.
If you have a group of
now,
people...
I'm not saying I'm not good at some particular games myself personally, but that's only because I've had prior experience with it. However, I do not do like what you were describing, helping someone like, no, I don't do that. That's immoral. That's wrong. No.
Do you ever do group?
I would not look on myself favorably for that. No.
Okay. Do you ever have a group type of reading? 4 or 5 people in a room, or do you make sure it's just
like
one-on-one?
a gallery? I have not ever done that before. I just got my first call for one right here locally tonight. I actually got my first one. So I'm actually looking forward to doing it. We have not set a date yet. So, I'll just leave that up to the client, and whatever comes, comes. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. What can I do?
What's a seance? I mean, I know what it is. Is that a group type of reading? Is that a seance? What is all that about?
Oh, pardon me. Sorry, I was having some water. A seance is where a group of people come together to contact the other side.
Right.
And I've heard of it done. I have never personally done it. I don't like seances because it's essentially not how I work. Billy, back up. Sorry, my dog. Nose out of that. Sorry.
That's okay.
He's being a little too curious right now.
Okay.
Back up, Billy. No, back up. Over there. Going over there. Over there. Over there. Okay. Over there. Sorry, my
that's
dog.
okay. So
He's being a little too curious right now.
so a seance is the ability to
Basically, I don't like doing seances because that's just generally not how I operate. I don't do seances because I feel like that adds a certain element of fakery to whatever I do. And I already am in contact with the other side. It just happens by nature. It's the way it goes with the work that I do. So basically, I just generally do not do seances. I don't like the kind of fakery that it pretty much entails, or at least that's just my personal feeling on it.
Yeah, but if you could do it and do it well without the fakery, why not delve into that? Because that's got to be one of the questions.
I've just never had the opportunity to actually try it before, and I don't know specifically how accurate I would actually be in that respect. I don't know. Again, I've never done it, so I don't have any way of knowing what the level of accuracy I would be able to bring to the table in that respect.
But that's got to be probably the number one thing what people want to know. They don't want to know necessarily when they're going to die, and I wouldn't want to know that. But I would want to I would want to connect, especially if someone very close to me, if my wife passed away, I would want to have the ability or potential ability to connect with her through someone like you. I would imagine that would be something that the number one thing that people...
that I could do. But it would have to be like a one-on-one reading, either with your wife or you and your wife, because generally I'm already getting information coming through on that individual. You don't even have to say a name. I already get like an image or a picture or information, not just from my guide, but my guide brings that individual through, although I'm not ready to read that individual just yet. And it comes down to when I'm ready to actually, read a specific individual. But I would also want to book a reading with you, and it's 50% down to hold the date and the rest upon completion of the work. And it pertains to my hourly fee, which I do. And if I was to say come to Las Vegas, that would entail travel, and that would have to be worked out, hotel, motel, meals, gas, all that stuff. I put it into a package deal plus my hourly rate, and, we go from there.
Okay, interesting.
That's how that works with me.
Okay, it sounds fair to me. Okay, so I am curious about, let's see, do I have any other question here? Oh, someone asked about the voice, because I know you got the dog there, but then I think we heard a voice behind. Is that your husband? Is that David?
Yeah, that's my husband. Sorry,
okay.
He's working with the jack-o'-lantern right now. We're getting ready for Halloween over here. So, yeah, we've got the jack-o'-lantern being carved, and Billy was getting a little bit too curious.
Okay, we've been off for over an hour, so I usually don't do interviews this long. This is kind of fascinating to me to learn about this. But you mentioned the people that work with the different tools, like you mentioned you have a crystal ball and all that. Are there people...
I do, but those are only props, okay?
Right, you mentioned...
Those are props, those are things that, I can say, okay, this kind of tells you, the various range of, where I come from, who my people were, and it helps me to connect energetically with my people, whether it be other side or, ancestry or whatever. Right. And it really actually helps me do my job better, believe it or not.
Yeah, but there's some people that probably use the crystal ball not as a prop, but as a useful tool for their ability to read,
yes,
right?
Some do, and I am not denying anybody the right to do that. That's absolutely cool. I'm actually, believe it or not, very, very fascinated by that. I wish I could do that. I've just never been able to do things like reading balls or cards or crystals or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been able to. I would love to be able to, but I've just never been able to.
Mm-hmm.
Because things come through and have come through so naturally that I don't see any need to compete with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now I think you brought this up before. Is there an afterlife?
Yes. God, yeah. Yes, there is an afterlife.
Okay,
Yes,
is there...
I've actually been there twice.
Okay.
I have actually been there twice, and both times I met with my family. Okay?
And then you came...
And only once I was really, 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 really deathly ill, and I went to this place that I've only read about in books, that I've never had any proof that it existed. But oh heck yeah, I went there and I came home healed of whatever I was sick from.
Okay,
Go
now,
figure.
yeah, is the afterlife the ability to go there and then come back as a different being, or do you always come back as the same being, or well, how does that work? How does the afterlife?
We're incarnation through incarnation through incarnation. You're always going to come back as the same soul. But you're always going to have a different body, whether it be male or female, you're straight, you're gay, you're whatever it is that you chart for that lifetime.
And is there an ability to read those people and tell them what their previous life was before they came back and who they are now?
Yes. And I already got the vibe from you.
From me?
And in fact, when I saw you on camera, I go, oh, okay, yeah, I know what his past life was. Yeah. You had a lifetime in the medieval period of time.
I like the word
you
evil.
You were very much like, almost like a scientist, if you will. Not Leonardo da Vinci, but something akin similar to that. Okay?
Okay.
Or something akin similar to him. Someone who likes to tinker, work with his hands, very analytical, very, scientific, very, whatever that was. And you struck me as almost like a Leonardo da Vinci type.
Huh.
Wow. And I have a great respect for him. I believe my late grandfather was, in fact, Leonardo da Vinci because he knew things that only Leonardo would have known, would have done, would have conceptualized, or would have created, or would have done in his life. My grandfather actually did that.
Wow.
Go figure. But you strike me as that type. Not necessarily him, but of that type of person.
Wow. How many lifetimes back was I when I was a porn star? Because I must have been a porn star because I'm pretty good at that.
No, you've never been a porn star.
Oh, that's a bummer.
No.
I was looking for the tapes. Okay. All right. So let me ask you the question of how people get in touch with you, because maybe they want to book your services via having listening on the show here. So, of course, we've gone on quite a bit.
Okay.
So how do they do that? How do they reach out to you?
Go to my website. I have my business phone number on there. And when you dial the phone number, it will come up extension 0. Go to extension 0, and it will call through to me, and you can book from there.
Do you want to give out the phone number? You could give that out if you choose to.
Yeah. Hang on just a second. I can get that for you.
Okay.
Okay, let's see here. Let me find my eyes. I can't see without my readers. Okay, let me see. Settings. Okay.
Why don't you have the psychic ability to read the phone number without having it memorized?
Because I haven't fully memorized it yet.
Okay.
Okay, I have not fully memorized the number yet, so I have to basically look for the number. So I apologize. It's just I haven't fully memorized the number yet. Okay, it is 541-833-3069 extension 0.
Okay. Well, there we go. Anyone that wants to call you and book a psychic reading, do you call it that, a psychic reading, or do you call it a psychic experience? Because when we think of psychic reading...
Either way works. It doesn't really matter what you call it. It's psychic, okay?
How do you feel about the people that aren't psychic and are pretending about being a psychic? Do you feel like you have a hostility to them, that they should shut down their business because they're fakes?
No, I'm not hostile toward anyone in that respect, okay?
But they're bringing down your credibility. Like,
well, yeah, but then that's also their chart. Who am I to judge them, you know? I mean, they are who they are. I am who I am. Again, I'm going to just give it the way I get it. I am who I am. They are who they are. Eventually they'll get found out, and, you know.
Because there's a lot of them. You got to admit there's probably a lot of them that are the ones that are taking your craft, your skill, and belittling it by turning it into a full-time entertainment gig that they got with no credibility beyond it. But you just let them...
I understand that.
You just let them go...
Some people just, you know... I don't know how else to explain it except they are who they are, I am who I am. I don't worry about anybody but me, okay? I worry about what I do. I have enough on my own plate without worrying about what someone else is doing. Eventually, those that are faking it will get found out, you know, and they'll get brought to justice. Eventually, it'll happen.
Okay.
You know, and it's not my place to say, yeah, they'll get brought to justice, or no, they won't. That's their own chart. Eventually, they will get brought down, brought to justice, etc. You know, and it just is what it is. I accept it as such.
Okay. Okay. Well, Melissa, it was great having you on the show tonight. Thanks a lot for calling in.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yep. I do have one more question for you. I got one more. Don't hang up yet. You still there?
Okay.
Okay, this is what I was thinking about. Okay, so I've had this regret for a while, and it's going to be a cosmetic, stupid thing to ask you, but I'm thinking about getting online and purchasing a DeLorean. You know, that car from Back to the Future? I had two of them.
I know which one you're talking about.
Okay, I've had two of them in the past, and I sold them. Unfortunately, I sold them when they were selling for about 23 grand. Now they're up to like 45 grand, so I'm going to have to come out of pocket for about 45 grand. So I'm thinking about it because it's a fun car. I'm kind of into these kind of gimmicky cars. Should I buy it?
Right.
But
I love the DeLorean. Don't get me wrong. I love the DeLorean. That is a great car.
Yeah. It's
fantastic car.
So now, but I am a very financially worried person. I'm always worried about finances in my life. I want to make sure I make the right financial purchase. Is that car going to keep going up in value, or is it hit a pinnacle, and is it on its way to tumble down? Is it a good investment?
You know, I really feel that, and this is my own sense of things financially and otherwise, these cars are going to continue to increase in value, okay, because the more time goes by between the Back to the Future series having been made and where we are now, they're just going to increase in value because they're a collector item. And these are very, very, very rare vehicles, okay? I love cars myself. I love vehicles. I don't have the money for everything, so, you know, I stick with a basic pickup truck, by the way. But I love the DeLorean. I think you should go for it. I don't think you should regret ever getting another one, because these are going to become more and more and more and more rare as time goes by. We don't see as many of these anymore, so I'd say just shoot for the moon. Go for it. That's what's going to make you happy. Do it. And you know what? I want you to bring it to me and show it to me. I want to see the inside of one of those things. I'm absolutely fascinated by the DeLorean.
Okay, so there you go. Because I'm at a point now where I've got to make the decision in the next couple days of whether I go. And I'm always thinking about, because it shot up in value like such a quick progression. But then on the other hand, I've got other cars.
Because they're so rare. They're such a rare vehicle. I mean, you are not going to see,
That's on the 35th anniversary of the movie.
Oh, that's right, it is, isn't it? Yeah, and it's coming up on 35th anniversary of the movie, like my husband said. So these are going to become more and more rare. We're not going to see as many of these cars made, built, etc. if you're gonna get it, shoot for the moon, do it, and you better be bringing it to me because I want to see it.
There we go. Okay, cool.
I'm absolutely fascinated by the DeLorean. I've always wanted to see one. Bucket list. If I get to see one, that's on my bucket list. I'll get to check that off. Yay!
All right, Melissa, it was great having your show. Let me see.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, have a great night, and thanks for all the people that joined the show tonight and are going to replay the show. Make sure you share the show so people get to enjoy the product that we had tonight with Melissa and myself talking about psychic abilities and psychic readings and the whole thing around it. Thanks a lot, Melissa, for being on the show.
Thank you very much, Darren. I really, really had a blast. That was so much fun.
Cool.
I really enjoyed that.
Now,
Thank you for having me. And hey, bring me that DeLorean. I got to check that off my bucket list.
I'll do that for sure. One final question for
awesome.
you. I know you don't. I know you don't like competition between psychic and psychic, but compare my show to the other shows you've been on. This has been the best show you've ever been on, right? Yes.
It's in my top 10.
There we are.
It's in my top 10.
Good enough. I'm good enough for that. Okay, Melissa, thanks for being on the show, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, that's it for the Dave Darren Show tonight. Thanks for checking out the show. Thanks for enjoying it. Make your own judgments, your own determinations about if this changed your thought process about psychics, if you are more aware of what they do, if you're more believing in what they do, or if you're not, then that's quite all right too. At least you tolerated listening to the show and understanding a little bit more about what they do, and your judgment is up to you. And if you really are judging her and you want to get more involved, she gave you the phone number. Play the show back and you get the phone number again if you didn't scribble it down. Thanks a lot for joining the show tonight. I'll see you tomorrow night. We're going to do a Halloween show. I'm going to have some Halloween music, and maybe we'll have some callers calling in and talk about their experiences with the paranormal or ghost, and I've got some stories to share with you as well. But we'll also have some music mixed in there. So have a great night. See you guys tomorrow night. 9 o'clock again is the same time as tonight's show. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Ciao. Gonna find my closing song. Here we go.
Do you know the Dave Darren Show?
Not enough to boil a monkey's bum.
Most people say, who the fuck is Dave Darren?
Like Disneyland, I'm the happiest fucking guy on earth.
Who the fuck is Dave Darren?
Who the fuck is Dave Darren?
Are you a poofed up?
He used to be on terrestrial radio, but he got fired.
It's over. Don't you think it's over?
I'll spit.
Who the fuck is Dave Darren?
Here comes the boss fella now.
Dave Darren.